All right, before I dismantle the unit, let's dive into intuition. 201, the advanced class, how to deepen your understanding of your intuition. I should preempt this by saying if you're not an avid meditator, this may go over your head. So I don't mean to be disrespectful to those that can't follow this, but this is for the meditators. One of the lifelong students of Nisargadatta Maharaj was a man named Ramesh Balsekar, and he has a quote that says, "Thought isn't ego, thinking is." So in this video, I want to help you understand what the difference is between thought and thinking. Prior to a practice of meditation, before awareness has sort of dissociated from the activity of consciousness, if this is the activity of consciousness in your brain, usually awareness is right in there. And you can't differentiate awareness from thought. As you meditate and you deepen a practice of meditation, the vantage point of awareness seems to draw back and becomes a witness to the activity of consciousness. So what Ramesh means when he says thought isn't ego, thinking is that the activity of consciousness is always going to be moving. But the awareness that bears witness to that activity of consciousness doesn't move. So, the activity of the mind, that's the ego. And when awareness is right in there, it doesn't discern that it is separate from that. So thoughts happen and the mind adheres to those thoughts and then runs with them. Whereas for more advanced meditators, they are bearing witness to the activity of consciousness. Thought is happening, but they're not thinking. They're just allowing thoughts to happen. They don't attach to thoughts and run with them. Okay, and that's an important distinction to make, because when you're deepening your understanding of what it is to listen to your intuition, intuition is beyond the mind. It doesn't move. Let me just act this out for you. The voice of intuition will say, "No, that's not a good idea." And then the mind will say, "Well, what do you mean that's not a good idea?" "Of course, that's fine." "No, that's fine." "That's not a good idea." No. It's kind of weird to act it out, but the voice of intuition doesn't move because it's beyond thought. It's not happening in the activity of consciousness. It's a knowing that exists beyond that in the stillness of being. But as soon as that voice presents itself, then it becomes reflected in the mind as a thought. And the logical mind will try to rationalize that thought. So there's the knowing of being, and then it becomes reflected in the mind. And as soon as the intuition becomes reflected in the mind, it's no longer the intuition, it's a thought. And it's movement, and it's ego, and you can't trust it. So for the avid meditators, it's important to keep an eye on movement. Trusting your intuition always lies in, did it come from the stillness, from the silence, from the knowing, or did it come from the movement, the activity of consciousness? The second point is that the intuition always speaks first, and it always speaks in a whisper. It will never shout at you, and it will never make a scene in your mind to be heard. It will never be over here in the movement. It will be over here in the stillness, the beingness, the knowingness. And it's not like I can impart this in a video and then it's with you forever and the video's done its job. This is just a pointer that you really have to sit with and work with avidly in your meditation practice and get used to this terrain. because discerning the difference between the stillness and the movement is the key to everything. Also, another important element in this is if you are someone whose clairs have opened up, the clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairsentience, clairaudience, that's also a part of it. Instead of hearing the voice, you may see a picture of something in your head, but it's never a movement. It's something that comes from beyond the mind. The voice, the pictures, the knowing, the hearing, the sensing, it always comes from the place of stillness. So just to reiterate the importance of cultivating a practice of stillness, whether that's meditation or however you get there. When you are looking out onto a body of water, when there's a lot of disturbance on the water, the reflection isn't clear. But when that water is completely still, the reflection is perfectly clear, sometimes to the point where a skilled photographer can take a photograph and you almost can't tell the difference between which is reality and which is reflection. The same thing applies with the waters of the body and the reflections in the mind. It is exactly the same principle. The more you can become comfortable in the stillness and bring your awareness back into that stillness, the activity of the mind becomes very apparent. And that it's very easy to distinguish when guidance is coming from that still point, or when the mind has sort of heard that guidance, reflected it in itself, and is now trying to rationalize and chatterbox, its way through it. So that's all I got for this one. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer them in the comment section. Yeah. Love you guys. Bye.